Hello, Traveling Machinist here. I'm with my good friend Brian. He's the owner of APT Machining and Fabricating. Um, Brian, when did you get started in this machining trade?
Um, well, basically, my dad started the company in 1990, and I was still in high school at the time, and kind of started working with him at that point. And when I graduated high school in 1995, I started working with him, and that's kind of when I got into doing this. So I kind of started as more of a manual machinist, running manual machines, manual mills, manual lathes, and then moved on to the CNC machines and on from there.
Now, we've known each other for a lot of years.
Yep.
Um, I kind of started my shop at the same time his dad started. Um, if I remember right, you were like the guy heading up the CNCs.
Correct. Yeah, it's when I first started, there was a couple other guys that were running the CNCs, but whatever happened, they left, and then I kind of got put into it and just kind of learned how to do it, and with a little bit of schooling and just kind of hands on, learned how to run the machines and run the CNC machines.
Because you pretty much self-taught. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
we both
For
went
the
through
most.
we went through the same program up at South Central.
Correct.
And even then, it was still was limited at my time, and I was only maybe a year or two before you, I think.
Right.
So, but yeah, definitely hands taught. And then you got into. Did you start with softwares like
Um,
Mastercam, SolidWorks? Was that right away, or did you do a lot of like manual programming kind of first?
a little bit of manual programming, but I kind of jumped into at that time we had SurfCam, and I was able to um, take a class right with the company that um, sold us SurfCam. So I was able to at least get some of that experience, and then from there, I was able to make the programs along with making adjustments from what I had learned, just making shorthanded programs. And
And you were doing all the programming at your dad's shop, right?
yes.
And even when you came, how did this building become? Because you weren't always in this building.
Nope, we started in North Mankato with a 8,000 square foot building, and in 2005 we kind of outgrew that building and found a location about 10 miles away that was a decent piece of property, and then we put up a building and decided to split off the CNC machining from the manual machining and welding. So the manual machining and welding stayed in Mankato, and then the CNC machining moved to Kasota, where it is now. And then further down the line, we ended up closing the building in Mankato and adding on to the one in Kasota, and now we're just over 20,000 square feet here.
Okay, so that goes to my next question. How many employees do you have?
Right now, we're right around 30.
That's a that's a chunk.
Yep. At our peak, we were about 45, and now we're right about 30, and it's
Okay.
where it should be.
And if you, how many machines did you have out there again? You said about.
I think there's 38 CNC machines.
Okay. I didn't see a lot of manuals out there.
Oh, just two.
It's just a couple of handfuls.
Yeah.
So, in today's market and stuff like that, um, going on to the employee side of things, this is kind of where my goal is in the Philippines is kind of teach and learn. I'm going to try to source parts. That's one of the things I want to do. Um, I noticed it when I was running the shop. It's difficult to find talented, trained machinists here, at least in southern Minnesota. And I think that's across the board in the United States, to be honest with you. Um, what's your thoughts on or your view on why don't we have people getting into this trade?
I think the struggle lately is, I mean, just the amount of young kids out there that like to work with their hands. I mean, the amount of farm kids is dropping, and it just seems like that was where the supply machinists came from. They were farm kids that loved to build stuff with their hands and tinker with things, and we're kind of losing that demographic of kids that just like to do stuff. There's a lot of the kids that like to play video games and do that kind of stuff. So finding somebody to do CAD or programming isn't as hard as finding the machinist. But without the machinist, you don't need the CAD people. And
yeah, you still need the guy out on the floor, person out on the floor to be able to set up the machine. Make sure you're making quality parts and that kind of stuff. So does that make it difficult in your business to source this profession?
Yeah, obviously if you don't have quality people, you can't be competitive, and you can't get done what the market needs you to do. You got to have employees that are experienced enough to make good parts and make them in a timely manner, and you can't have somebody that fumbles through the day and gets 2 parts done, and you need 200 parts done. So,
yep, because it is very competitive out there. And we're not just talking in the States. We're competing against other areas of the world. Yeah, it's a global market now.
Yep.
So that makes it more difficult. And you were telling me that you don't see the high production runs like you used to, or at least it seems like they're slowing down.
Yeah, just more and more. I think these larger companies are going to that whatever it's called, the just in time kind of model, and it's the large runs are just not there anymore. So we're doing a lot of setups, and some of them are repeat setups, but a lot of it is set up and run 20 parts instead of running 200. But you're doing that setup every month or whatever, and instead of sometimes we have the benefit of running extra and keeping inventory, but it's a risk. If you run it, you're stuck with it.
And if they don't buy it,
if they go somewhere else or don't buy it, it's on your shelf, and
it's very competitive. So switch outs, I'm sure you're as efficient as you possibly can at because I know what that's like to be in a job shop setting. Again, he's in a job shop setting, which is he doesn't have like a manufacturer could set up tool up for strictly one part, and they can leave that machine set up for that, and that's it. So they don't have to change out as much, or they'll put 4 or 5 parts in one machine. But as a job shop, you wind up changing out setups daily, and that takes another skill set, of a person out on the floor. So I see this coming many years ago with my shop. It was tough to find people and tough to get them trained and have, like you said, I think it is just a person that wants to like build things with their hands and have that excitement about once you produce that and it's in your hand, you say, I made this. I didn't see that. Kids today don't have that.
Right. It's easy to teach somebody that's willing to learn. It's finding that person that's able to take a bunch of numbers on the screen and turn it into something. But there's a lot of them out there, and it's just a matter of putting themselves in front of the machine
and having pride at the end of the day of actually making something.
Yeah.
Because I know you too have done parts for probably aircraft and you name it. The part list is endless. So we are the people that make the components that make airplanes fly or race cars move or things of that nature.
Vehicles roll down the highway. It's kind of neat when you build something and you see it on a truck that drives by.
And you can say, I made that part.
Yep.
I like that. I always like that too.
Yeah.
So, well, Brian, I appreciate your time today. Thank you for letting me go through your shop.
Yep.
And, I'm heading out to the Philippines.
I wish you good luck.
So you won't see me for maybe a year or more. So
keep in touch.
Well, you'll see me on YouTube and Facebook. So, all right, I do appreciate it. Thanks, Brian.
Yep, thank you.
Traveling Machinist out. Enjoy, be kind.